78. Here we start to get the names of the sun and the names of the moon. Yes, they have specific names. All right. You can pause that and read through it. Now, this may be my next area of study. I don't know. I might just stop here because honestly, making PowerPoints and YouTubes trying to explain this is just killing me. Do not. I will never be a YouTube star. I can guarantee you that. Boop, boop, boop. But if you read, obviously, 72 all the way through, what it ultimately it sounds like to me that Enoch is overall describing, yet not in our verbiage, obviously, aside from the seasons and the days and the years and the moon and da-da-da-da-da, but the Taurus effect and the golden ratio. Now, if you're like me, you went through high school, I don't ever remember hearing the word Taurus effect. Gravity, sure, but never Taurus effect. And the golden ratio, we might have seen the number, but we never saw it in life, if that makes sense what I'm trying to say. So, yeah, let's see. What are each of these? All right, the Taurus effect. As I was saying, basically, the Taurus effect consists of a central axis with a vortex at both ends and a surrounding coherent field. Energy flows in one vortex, through the central axis, out the other vortex, and then wraps around itself and returns to the first incoming vortex. Makes a lot of sense. Can you see it? Can you see it? As the saying goes, a picture's worth 1,000 words. This right here is obviously, an artist's rendition and a computer-generated, look of the Taurus effect, because it's not something you can witness with your own eyes in action, so to say. But this is what the Taurus effect looks like. Now, why did the apple fall from the tree? Well, the apple fell from the tree because it was ripe. So the stem had lost the moisture and it was ready to fall. Question, the answer, why did the apple hit the ground? Well, the apple hit the ground because the apple is denser than the air. Just like if you take a beach ball and throw it in the ocean, the beach ball does not sink because the beach ball is less dense than the ocean. Drop a cannonball, the cannonball is sinking. Cannonball is denser than ocean. The helium balloon rises because helium is less dense than air. Gravity is a man-made word. Some dude's 5 seconds of fame, so to say, his one-hit wonder. Gravity. Because gravity is nothing that you can actually see. You cannot see gravity. Okay? They claim gravity is what keeps us on Earth. I'm sorry. The same gravitational pull needed to keep an elephant on the ground is going to be different than what it would take to keep a human on the ground, which is going to be different that it takes to keep an insect on the ground. You are either going to kill one of us, the insects or the humans, if the gravity is going to be applied to keep an elephant on the ground, or vice versa. You're going to have a floating elephant, just to keep the rest of us from being squished under the gravity of what it takes to hold an elephant down. Does that make sense? That's my take on it. Anyway, yes, gravity does not exist. Actually, if you look it up, it's still considered a theory. Okay, here is my kindergarten slide. You can see the little green dot in the middle of the crosshairs. That would be Earth. All right, so the red ring, granted, they're not going to be this spaced out, but in order for you to accurately see, I suppose, you have the gate 6, 5. 6 on the inner, 5 on the outer. The blue ring, 4, 3, 4 on the inner, 3 on the outer, and the yellow ring, 2, 1. 2 on the inner, 1 on the outer. So, Tropic of Cancer, 6. Tropic of Capricorn, 1. Equator, right in the middle, obviously, as we know them, I suppose. 30, 30, 31, 4, 5, 6. 30, 30, 31, 6, 5, 4. 30, 30, 31, 3, 2, 1. 30, 30, 31, 1, 2, and 3. You also have your additional 12 gates in a set of 3, north, south, east, and west. All right. The Taurus effect, a couple of examples there, and then the golden ratio. The golden ratio slaps us in the face every single day we open our eyes because actually it's in our face. Our face is comprised of the golden ratio, as you can see from the face on the screen. Sea urchins, golden ratio. Sunflowers, golden ratio. Our immediate surroundings and everything outside our doors screams we were created for a specific purpose. We are not accidental. We are not descendants of apes that fell out of trees. If we were, how come there aren't any more apes evolving out of the trees coming into the city? I don't know. What, did evolution just stop once we were here? Because nothing else has evolved out of the woods as far as I know since man. But as you can see, the golden ratio is everywhere. You were made for a specific purpose. More golden ratio and more Taurus effect. Okay, so they love to claim, you know, gravity, all that good stuff. And don't ask me about this whole globe planet thing on there. It's only there to show you science's explanation, I suppose. But if you think about it, the vortex, it goes through the central out one end, wraps back around. All right, so somewhere on the planet, don't ask me where, I can't tell you. This is why the toilet flows one way on the north and why the toilet flows the opposite direction on the south. All right, it's not because they are upside down, okay, because if it, okay, it would take, not only would it take a lot of gravity to hold an elephant to the earth, what about so-called Antarctica on the bottom of the planet? How much gravity does it take to hold an entire continent in place and to the planet? Yeah, so anyway, more examples of the Taurus effect and the golden ratio. So Enoch 78 basically just goes on to reiterate what he's already said previously about the moon and about the sun moving through the gates, how the moon, you know, either loses or gains 1/7 amount of light every single night up until it's complete, and how it declines in 1/7 and that type of thing. So that's basically all Enoch 78 is describing there. So feel free to read that on your own. He goes on to reiterate 3 months it affects 30-day periods, and during 3 months it affects 29 days each. All right. Reiterating 30 days, 30 days, 30, sorry. Yeah, 30, 30, 30, 29, 29, 29 in a 6-month period. And here he says, and in the first gate, so you know the moon's in the first gate in 177 days. So it's moved out at the 6-month mark. Yes, I showed you it was in the 6th month of 177 days, 25 weeks, 2 days. That is when the moon is in the first gate. So hey, you can probably do the math to figure out where it is, when, what day, 6 months later it's in the 6th gate, because it only goes 6, 4, 6, 6, 4, and 6, 1, or 4 and 1. And it spends half of its time in 6 and half of its time in 1. And all of its time in 4, if that makes sense, or going between 4, back and forth to 4. All right, so yeah. So I hope you've been able to see the problems I have witnessed with the Gregorian calendar compared to that of the Creator's calendar, and why you cannot cram the Creator's calendar into the Gregorian, but instead put the Gregorian calendar into the Creator's and see what happens. But what does every man do? And I say man because it's been all men creating all these calendars. If it doesn't fit, they just beat the crap out of it until it does. What's that old saying? You repeat a lie often enough and it becomes the truth. Well, now we see that in action. Not to forget what they did. They added leap years. They added entire months, Adar 2, because 29 times 12 is only 148. You're still missing at least 6 days there to make a true 354 lunar count. Not a lunar calendar, a lunar count. All right? There's a difference between a lunar calendar and a lunar count. We have 10 less lunar lit nights a year out of 364. Our years are 364 days in length. The moon dictates the length of a year, not the sun. The moon brings on all the years exactly. Nowhere does it say that the Sabbaths are based off of the moon. We give too many days to too many months. Our new moon is now sliding all over the place, like a drunk girl on ice skates or something. I don't know. Meanwhile, 3 days later, yes, much is wrong with it. How are we going to fix it? Are we going to fix it? Because at least 6 years, I don't even know what year. I was supposedly born in 78, but I know I'm at least 6 years and 60 days off of that. So, you know, I was born in the 80s, but I still could be 10 years off of that. I don't even know what decade I was born in technically, and neither do you anymore. Like I said, however, what should we be doing? 29 or 30-day counts, ensuring we have the correct number of days in every month, and that the solstices and equinoxes fall where they truly fall according to time charts. If you experience a year with 13 new moons in a 12-month period, all right, what is supposed to happen is that second new moon, if you're going to count them out and try and predict, the second new moon in whatever month, the counted number, 29 or 30, applies to whenever the sun and moon fell for the following month. So if you're looking at, say, August, if the count's 29 for the second moon in August, the 29 is applied to wherever the moon and sun sat for the month of September. So whatever September's then count was, 29 or 30, moves over to October. Whatever October's is moves to November. Whatever November's is moves to December, and so forth. Because, as I've already showed you once, and I'll show you again, once you establish the ordained days per month, and the equinoxes and solstices, and your new moons, regardless, like I said, you can keep the new moons when they actually occur, or when, you know, off of this calendar. You automatically know in a 3-month period or a 6-month period, you know, it's either going to be a 30 or a 29. So you can go out, like I said, on the 27th or the 28th and look up and see if you have 1 or 2 more days of moonlight. Then you know when you officially, you know, this 1/7 will appear. So if you keep all that in mind, your dates never slide. Your dates are always the same. The difference between, you know, the first month on the left and the first month on the right with the big oval, like I said, that's where the new moon will fall next year if you keep that 13th new moon swishing and swashing around inside of a 12-month period, because you're only giving 348 lunar nights to the moon for one, and your months are off by a day to 2 days. So why does this even matter? I don't know. It may not matter. I mean, it matters to me. It matters a lot to me, because my Creator loves me and He created me, and Yeshua died for me. The price for my sins has already been paid. And I want to, you know, worship Him and love Him and seek His face in the right way, if that makes sense. Or as right as we can interpret at this time, I suppose. This may not matter to, you know, atheist John Jacobs next door. He probably doesn't care. But to me it matters, because we don't even know what year we're in. Like they say, time is money. At least, you know, I don't know who my atheist neighbor just was. We'll call him John Anderson, I guess, or Tim Jones, or Bob Smith, or something. I don't know who, you know, but just say it. Maybe time is money to him. Maybe it matters that way, as opposed to wanting to please the Creator. Either way, it should matter. Again, what a concept. So, at least putting the correct number of days in the years gets us one step closer. Step 2 of getting closer, determining your solstices and your equinoxes. After that, after that, it's all gravy. It's all downhill, I suppose, because every year you know that the 1st of April will fall on pseudo-Sunday, the 1st of April. You know that a new moon and a full moon will never, ever, ever occur on a 7th-day Sabbath. You know that Sabbaths are not just 7th days. They're all His Sabbaths. All His feasts and celebrations are considered Sabbaths, okay? You know Yeshua never rose on a Sunday now. I know there's a lot in this calendar that ends up boggling your mind when you actually see it out on an organized fashion in a nice pattern. Few other quick patterns you'll notice. The first month, pseudo-April, compared of the first quarter compared to the 7th month, pseudo-September of the, 3rd quarter. So basically from 182 days to, the end. Well, would you look at that? We can lay them right on top of each other, like I said. The only difference, possibly the new moon count, the lunar count, sorry. But look, 14, the day of the first month, and the 14th day of the 7th month. Think of them in two bigger chunks, your 6-month chunk. First month is the head of the first 6 months, 7th month is the head of the final 6 months, okay? Set 14 and 14, you got, not only are they Sabbath, 7th-day Sabbaths, but you have Passover and Sukkot. And then 15 and 15, you have unleavened bread, and you have fruits and the Feast of Sukkot, each running until the 21st. Woo, more patterns. You gotta thank the Most High for making things as plain as can be, I suppose. Out in plain sight, I don't know. But we're just blind. We are blind, we are deaf, and we are set in our ways to not really give a crap, I suppose. Just, we are in Babylon. Come out of her, my people. On to a no-brainer slide, I suppose. Now you know why we use a stupid groundhog. Thank you, Punxsutawney Phil, to tell us whether or not winter is going to be 6 or 8, 7 or 4 more weeks, whatever it is. Now you know why the weatherman says it's an early spring or a late winter or unseasonable weather, because we're not even the correct season. I just showed you that my weatherman told me on 2 July it was now the longest day of the year, but Google says, the solstice was June 21st, 20th, 21st. 12-day difference. We're not even in this right season. And the further you go back, the 3, 5, and 8 years, that distance gets longer and longer, so to say. But because of the, 13th new moon, well, I should say between the 13 new moons and a 12-month, that distance gets longer and longer. So 3, 4, and 5. 3's got 12, 4 doesn't, 5 does. Okay, so because it's got 12 in number 3, 4 is the 4th year will be pretty closer to having, being close to when the actual season's supposed to be. 5's got the 13th new moon, so it gets a little bit more on track. 6 and 7 don't. Okay, so 6 and 7, that's when your groundhog comes out and says 6 more weeks of winter, because we're not in the right season. All right. So Enoch 82. Prior to Enoch 82, if you read Enoch 80 and 81, it goes on to tell us our what's going to happen. Basically, our seasons aren't going to come in on time. Our sowing for our, vegetables and fruits aren't going to come in time. Our blooming of our fruits on our trees aren't going to come in time. Things like that. He goes on to tell us everything that we're experiencing right now. Why do you think they added Adar 2? They added Adar 2 because the barley hadn't come in. That's why they have an Adar 2, all right, as opposed to counting the days and everything correctly. Let's just add a new month, all right? So Enoch tells us this is what happens when you don't pay attention to the Creator's calendar. You got to make an Adar 2, you got to have a leap year, you got to have a 13 new moons in 12 months just so everything looks like it's okay. Enoch 82, basically, he just kind of tells you the names of the conductors, names of the stars. So what'll happen, you probably, a lot of you know this. The conductors of the seasons, they come in. They're the 4 sets. They're the ones on each end of the 30 for the close of the seasons. They're the solstices and equinoxes as we know them. And then the 3 constellations that belong to that season roll in right after. They roll in over time, obviously. First, the first constellation comes in, and then the next constellation comes in, and then the third constellation comes in, and then bam, you have a new season, you have a new luminary over that season, the next 3 sets of constellations come in, rinse and repeat. So that's all he's describing in 82. All this making sense so far? Like I said, if you have questions, please feel free to comment below, ask them, and I'll try to respond with an answer, I suppose, or my interpretation, okay? More side thought. Sorry, folks. Just 1 more minute, I suppose. Polaris. What is Polaris? Polaris is that star that doesn't move. Well, guess what? Polaris is not Polaris. Polaris is Uriel. Okay, yes, it is the angel Uriel that showed Enoch all of this stuff. He is the conductor over all. Remember reading that? And the days Uriel showed me, the angel whom Yahuwah of glory appointed over all the luminaries. Then I saw another progress and regulation which he effected in the law of the moon. The progress of the moons and everything Uriel showed me, the holy angel who conducted them all. I saw likewise the chariots of heaven running in the world above to those gates in which the stars turn, which never set. One of these is greater than all, which goes round the whole world. All right, every single star rotates around Uriel. Uriel is the conductor, and the rest of the stars are the orchestra. Think of it that way. My final hypothesis, yes, because I do believe the Earth is flat. Obviously, okay, we're on a flat plane. Don't get me, the Earth isn't obviously flat because we've got mountains and seas and valleys and blah, blah, blah. You get what I'm saying. But we are on a level plane, a level playing field, so to say, with a lot of obstacles in between. There is no 23-degree tilt in the axis towards the sun because we've established, first of all, that the sun and the moon are the same dimensions. They are orbs. They are not burning balls of fire and a solid rock or Swiss cheese. There's no tilt. However, the likelihood, like I just showed you, I hope I just showed you, that the gentlemen, the men who performed these experiments, were off by like 20.3 days from when they should have measured, that's probably highly likely. Or the fact that they were not at the right latitude, okay, or the same latitude. Because I believe the experiment done by the first guy that did it, he was in like mid Egypt kind of, and then he went and measured up by either the sea portion of Egypt or maybe even Rome. I can't recall which. But anyway, I'm no rocket scientist, but I'm pretty sure that distance was not on the same latitude. Just saying. Sounds like quite a bit of distance. You have to be on the same latitude, or yes, you're going to get an angular distance. Or a little bit of both. Could have been both, okay? Because I just showed you. We're right now, we are 12 days, right now we were 12 days later on starting spring than we thought we started, because it actually started July 2nd, which was actually the 31st of the third month. So, no tilt. Again, if you've got questions, please feel free to put them below. And that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for watching, folks. Remember, this information is patent pending. Patent pending still has the same rules and regulations that apply to it until it is patent approved. If you would like to order your copy of the Tetra Calendar, or the Creator's Calendar, aka the Tetra Calendar, after the Yod-He, Vav-He, the Tetragrammaton, you can do so at Amazon, Amazon Wix or Etsy today. Wixie, yeah, we need a new selling website, Wixie. Just simply search Tetra Calendar or the description below. So, like I said, this is only my interpretation. I could be 100% wrong, or I could be 100% right.